Hey guys, Jennifer with Scraps of Life here, and I'm always saying better living through creativity here at the blog, and also, wishing people creative days when I close out newsletters or emails or projects. And I thought, you know what, let me show you what I mean by that, or at least the creativity part. Last week I had an exceptionally busy week as far as art goes. I'm not always quite this busy, but it was definitely nice to have a bit of a change in this respect. What you're seeing right here is this is on Monday, and I was working on my project for Helmar. It has since gone up on the Helmar blog, so I'll make sure to put the link to the finished project in the description box below. And you can see what on earth I was doing with newspaper that I was weaving all together. And I got most of the project done on Monday. In fact, I think in future clips you might see the finished project kind of hanging out on the side there. But yeah, sometimes it's nice to go back to basics and just do, simple materials, simple technique, but, you turn it on its ear, and you do something different with it. Okay, so here we are on Tuesday night, and what am I doing here? I am tearing up tissue pattern paper, or tissue paper patterns. I don't know, however you want to say it. It's the pattern that tissues, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But why am I doing this? Well, this has kind of become one of, I hate to call it like a signature. Maybe we could go as far as calling it a hallmark of my current work. When I start a canvas, I usually start, these days, by laying down a surface of this tissue pattern. You can use any tissue or whatever, but this is what I have in abundance, and I like that there's some lines and pattern on it, and it kind of makes for an interesting background. So here I am. I'm putting the torn paper down with some Liquitex matte gel medium. Now, normally I would just, tear what I needed as I went, but for this particular night and this particular week, I was working on 3 of these 16 by 20 canvases. If you saw my post at the beginning of the month about what I'd been doing this quarter, you saw the Eiffel Tower canvas that I put together on First Friday, and I'm doing 3 more. This is kind of a series. And so what I'm doing is I'm just, it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle at first, except for there's no such thing as a piece that fits or doesn't. And each one of these canvases, the 16 by 20 inches each, they took about 15 minutes. Obviously, I've sped it up quite a bit here because, well, I don't think you want to sit here and watch me do one canvas at 15 minutes, much less 3 at 45. But this is a good project for, you put on a movie or you put on some music and you just go right through it. And so a couple other things about this particular technique. I didn't come up with this. This is not exactly new for me or unique to me. But one of the things that's common among people who are trying to be more creative, or even people who are creative in general, is, what's the most intimidating thing about a project? Well, it's that blank canvas. It's the blank scrapbook page. It's the blank screen if you're a writer, and that blinking cursor just kind of mocking you. Well, doing this not only adds some interesting pattern and texture in the background, but it covers up that glaring white canvas, and, it just makes it interesting. So here's the 3 canvases that I finished prepping that night. And now we're on to Wednesday. And what I am doing here, again, if you saw the Eiffel Tower canvas, then you sort of know the direction I'm going in. But I'm using washi tape, which is, paper tape, rice paper tape, low-tack tape, sort of like painter's tape. And it doesn't matter the color or the pattern that I'm using. It's more the relative thickness of each of them. And what I'm doing here is I'm laying out some basic shapes. This one is supposed to be the representation of the Brandenburg Gate in Germany. And again, this is for party decorations, and so I'm doing one for each of the countries that the caterer is sort of representing with the different stations. So we have France, Germany, Argentina, and the US, aka California. So this is the German canvas, and I'm not going for realism, obviously. I'm just going for basic shapes. And this will give me something to work with in the next step. So, okay, there's the waterfalls in Argentina, and then there's the Golden Gate Bridge. All right, so now we're on to Thursday, I think. And I'm laying down the first bit of color. Now you can see that I have the washi tape all laid out, and I am just brushing this, I believe it's yellow ochre, but I don't have it in front of me right this second to check. And or maybe it's just a bright yellow. I don't know. Do I have it within reach? Not really. Okay. Anyway, but I've thinned it out with a little bit of water so that it creates a wash effect. You can still see the pattern overlapping from the tissue paper underneath, but it's going over my washi, so the washi is acting as a mask. Now I'm putting on some, I believe this is burnt sienna, which again I've thinned quite a bit down with water. Again, so that I can start with a light wash, kind of creating like a vignette effect, and then I will gradually build up the color. And now part of me thought that, okay, well, I'm working on 3 canvases at one time. It's easy to get into like a assembly line effect, but what I decided that it was better to work one canvas at a time with both colors, at least at this point, rather than doing all the yellow and then coming back with all the brown, because, well, when the yellow is still like a little bit damp, obviously it's going to blend better. So, and I didn't want any harsh lines. So that's one of the reasons. Normally, if, I try and do as much with one color as possible, because again, if I'm working on multiples, it makes sense to make it as efficient as possible. I know efficiency and art don't always go together, but sometimes for me they do. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit of the brown paint, almost with a dry brush effect here, and I'm going over the edges of the washi tape figure, and this is going to help create a little bit more contrast for when I pull them off and we get to see what's underneath. See, look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's so cool. This is kind of my favorite part of this process. And you can see, I mean, it's definitely there. Okay, so this is still Thursday night, and I thought I was done, and then I decided, no, I was going to keep working. I took an enamel paint pen and started to add in some details. This is the, oh boy, Iguazu Falls. I'm probably butchering that name, but anyway, it's some famous waterfalls, the landmark there in Argentina. And what I did was I had sprayed some white texture medium. You can see the little splatters and stuff just to kind of give it something. And then I was putting, and see, you can see right there it is sort of semi-finished. It's finished for now. And I was putting some metallic ink, just kind of buffing it over there, burnishing it. Anyway, so Friday night I didn't do too much. Well, I cut out some paper dolls that a pen pal had sent me, just something light and fun. And then Saturday I decided to kind of be an adult and be a kid by like banishing myself to clean my own room. So I cleaned up the abyss, which is what I call my craft room, and clean's a relative term, but, for instance, I've got some in-progress projects right there that, on that table that I've just kind of, and that area back there, that piece of floor was completely covered with stuff that I had dislodged when I rearranged my office 2 months ago, and was just now getting to, I need to sweep the floor and stuff. But, there's another in-progress stuff. I always have 1,000 things going on, or at least it feels like. Usually it's only 5 or 6. But yeah, so this is my office, and I have a lot of miscellaneous stuff on the desk there. Just some things that I'm working on, some things that I need to work on, and some things that I was thinking about working on. And my desk is still really messy. I've got to kind of uncover it. But yeah, so that's that's the tour. I hope you like this little peek into my creative week, and that, maybe it'll kind of give you some ideas about fitting stuff in. A lot of these evenings I was just working on whatever was next on my list and maybe throw in, 15, 20 minutes at it sometimes. And that's really all it takes. You don't have to spend forever. You don't have to block out huge amount of time if you've got something set up and ready to go, like I did with the canvases, and I just worked on it a little bit at a time. That's all it really takes. So anyway, I hope you have a great week, a creative week, and I hope you make time for that creativity. Bye-bye.